I'm Leisa Peterson, founder of Wealth Clinic, the Art of Abundance podcast, which is soon to be retitled the Mindful Millionaire podcast in the next month or so. Author of the Mindful Millionaire book coming out in June of 2020. And I'm on a mission. This is new, so many of you have been hanging out with me for a while. I'm on a mission to help 1 million people elevate their financial consciousness. And I do this by helping people learn how to engage with money as a tool and a resource rather than engaging with it as a reflection of how much they value themselves. So my goal is to help people realize the fact that money is not a limited resource, that instead it's something that is an infinite resource, and that it multiplies as you invest as you invest yourself in it, as you focus more on it. So having worked in financial services for over 25 years, when it comes to building wealth, I know that many times financial professionals are in a position of assuming that you have your relationship with money figured out. And what I have been learning through my journey of teaching about money and teaching people about their relationship with money is that it's best if we don't assume anything about anyone's relationship with money. It's better if we just are open slate and we approach both our own relationship with money and other people's relationship with money with the idea that there may be some things happening under the surface that are not working for us, right? So in my experience, there are two types of people when it comes to money: those who understand how to earn it, save it, spend it, invest it as a tool that adds to their overall quality of life. And then there are those who struggle with money, might struggle with things like debt, how much money is coming in, under-earning, overspending, powerlessness with money. There's so many more stories from my own experience. No matter how much money I earned, no matter how much money I saved, I still worried about money all the time. And that pretty much prompted my work, prompted me to understand more about, when I was a financial advisor and before that, when I was a mortgage banker, why people often struggled with it, why some people had no problems with it and other people, no matter what came up, it was painful and difficult. And so I've made this my mission to help people who do know that they are ready to change, more positively benefit their relationship with money. I focus on helping people do that, and it shows up in a lot of different ways. So hi David, hi Pam, so nice to see you here. So today what I wanted to do was talk about an introduction to this work, introduction to some of the principles that I teach. If you've been around for a while or you're brand new to it, I think that this will be interesting for everyone, because I think sometimes we have to go full circle. What I teach can be kind of complicated. There's a lot of layers to it. And so simplifying it is really helpful, because you might have an aha even if you've been hanging out and learning about this for a while. I also have been seeing questions come in, and so towards the end I will try and answer those questions, and anything else that anyone on the call has for me, I would love to dive into that. So what I think I'll start by talking about is that I help people drop away the things that we're holding on to in our psyche about money, so that you can ultimately plan holistically for your financial life. And when I say that, I mean when we drop away the things that have been causing us to repeat patterns that aren't working for us, when we learn about our relationship with money and we start to see that there are things that we're doing that aren't helping us save money, invest money, what have you. Maybe you make plenty of money, but you notice that there's really not very much being saved at the end of the month, for example. I mean, everyone's got different behaviors, and what I found is everyone can positively make changes in their experiences with money that lead them to outcomes that they might have trouble getting into and creating on their own. And so when we are able to understand our relationship with money better, we stop the behaviors that we don't want to do, and we start doing the behaviors that we want to do more of. So saving more, spending less on things that don't bring you the joy that you seek, investing more, getting out of debt, My practices also are oriented to like helping people, price their products and services, or maybe find out ways to get paid more in their jobs. I mean, there's endless, countless possibilities of the ways that this work can help you. Everyone's situation is different, but the point is that as I go through the model and I explain more about it, the idea is to awaken opportunities that you have to turn some things in a better direction, to make positive change in your life, to grow and to evolve. And really this conversation is about making money your tool. It's also about noticing the patterns that you are doing that you're wanting to change. So what I wanted to do to start is let's go ahead and just take a few minutes for some mindfulness. So if you want to close your eyes, if you want to get in a comfy position, I'm going to encourage you to take a nice, big, deep breath. And you may even find that you want to hold that breath at the top of the breath for a minute. And as you hold it, you just notice that you become more present to this experience right here, right now, being here in your body. And you can let that breath go, and you may find yourself taking another nice deep breath. And as you do this, breathing in and out, you can notice that you can let go of any distractions that you have going on around you. And whatever you focus on is allowing you to create more of it. So when we focus on our attention, on our awareness, it expands right before our eyes. So just noticing how your breath, breathing in and out, allows you to feel a sense of expansion, and also letting go of the noise and the distraction. We're going to be focusing on our financial well-being together in this time. This is about awakening to your own joy and to your own peace and to your own freedom. Awakening into our truest selves through this conversation today, and learning new ways to rise above all the ways that we have defined ourselves in limitation. So just continuing to breathe in and out. All of the work that I create is designed to support you to awaken the growth inside of yourself that helps you experience more of what your heart desires, so you can heal yourself and you can feel greater happiness inside, and then have that inside, wealth translate into external positive experiences with money. You are the creator of your life, and that which you focus on helps you to awaken the growth in yourself. And that helps you experience more of what you know that you want to create. And so by directing your attention here and now, you can feel your body in space and time, embracing a moment of your human experience, just being here now. Noticing how it feels to be in your body. And from here, I'll be walking you through a model that has the potential to change your life in countless ways, change how you understand yourself and how you engage with money. And this model that's come through me over the past few years can be used to understand where patterns of scarcity exist inside of your emotional, physical, and energetic bodies. And this talk today is about sharing how the scarcity patterns work And then on Friday, I'll be talking again more about how the prosperity patterns are just waiting for you to understand them and to integrate them into your life in bigger ways so that you can tune your attention into that which you want to create more of. But first, if you want to open your eyes and come out of the kind of mini meditation, in order to understand what I'm going to share, I'll give a little backstory that we need to understand where scarcity patterns are playing out inside of our psyche and how they affect our relationship with money. And that's what I'm going to be going through. The model that I'm going to be talking about derives from the Hindu teachings going back thousands and thousands of years around the chakras. The chakras are energy centers in the body that provide a map of consciousness. The map is vertically aligned, and it's a depiction of the process of your individual maturation through 7 distinct energetic phases, starting at the base of your spine and rising all the way to the crown of your skull. And this process is a spiritual adulting, if you will. Now, some of us are top-down kinds of people where we start at the crown and we go down through the chakras. Others, like myself, we start at the root and we go up. There's no right or wrong. It's just some of the ways that we're designed and that our natural propensity is to operate in this life. And so even though I'm going to be going bottom up, you can just know that it may be for you, it's top down, and that's okay. What you can also be noticing is that this process of spiritual adulting is used to explain the movement of the energy that takes place, like I said, in this case, ascending all the way from the root to the crown, which represents the divine connection. And the way I think of it is like a result of gradually mastering the physical world. As we master the art of being human, we become more open, if we're going bottom up, to the divine, to intuition, to these aspects of ourselves. Again, we may feel a real strong connection from an early age to the divine and to our intuition. And for us, it's like we're moving down in our adulting, down into the root, and that's perfectly fine. At each stage, no matter which way you're going, you're gaining greater understanding of yourself and appreciation for your own ability to create in the physical form, as well as channeling the divine. And so in addition to helping you understand your own evolution with each of the 7 chakras, you can notice and use them to understand what I call the bruises that you've accumulated throughout your life and beyond. And the chakra system is so powerful around this because it helps you engage in this process of energetic self-evaluation by revealing how your thoughts, feelings, memories, and beliefs are stored in these 7 energy centers. The more energetic bruises you've collected, the more likely it is for them to negatively affect you by causing you to engage in fearful and avoidant behaviors. Which is why having a map to use in the identification and the release of these bruises is so powerful. Further, I found that for those of us, and I'll totally count myself in this, when many of us have had a lot of conditions in our lives that have triggered a lot of fear, perhaps in our youth, they cause those bruises can make it harder to heal ourselves. And this is why it's so powerful to use the chakras to unlock and understand these areas that we're holding, kind of like pain and suffering, maybe even showing up as like an attachment to suffering versus an attachment to thriving. This can be caused by these patterns of fear that go way back into our childhood. So the other thing we can be thinking about is that each of the chakras are like lenses that we see life. So the root chakra is our security lens, and that's at the base of the spine, at the bottom of the spine, kind of in the area of the perineum. If you do a root lock, you're feeling that area of your body. That's the security lens that we see life with. If you move into the sacral chakra, which is like in the area of your tummy, this is where it's like your desire lens. You look at the world through this lens, desiring creativity, wanting things, wanting to feel a certain way. It also ties into our sense of like worthiness at this deep part of our being. The solar plexus right here is the power lens, how we see power in our lives. The heart is the love lens. The throat chakra is the expression lens. The brow chakra is the intuitive lens. And the crown chakra is what I call the vision lens. And by learning more about how the chakras regulate and manage the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of life, you gain the ability to govern your life with greater clarity. And this awareness leads to the removal of the fog on the lenses so that you can more fully experience life. And let's see, so to help you understand this, I'll be guiding you through each of the chakra lenses and then helping you apply them to how they play out with money, and also how they play out with seeing life through the lens of scarcity. And it allows you again to sort of remove the fog from the lenses as we go through it. So that may happen right now, right here, which is awesome. Or maybe just the awareness of it will give you some things to think about that you'll walk away from this conversation and kind of think about them between now and Friday, and then you'll join me again at that time. And kind of an abbreviated way, because I want to keep this short and succinct, but I'm going to take you through each of the chakras. So when we start at the root chakra, this is around the pattern we feel with scarcity, and it deals with safety and security, which often, as it translates to money, is not having enough money coming in to take care of our needs and wants. So the shift that you're wanting as you focus on the root chakra, if you know that lens around security is foggy, the shift is for you to be able to see how your beliefs are causing you to be stuck in this form of limitation and being really fear-driven around your safety and your security. And as that lens shifts, what happens is you start to notice the things that have been preventing you from creating a consistent stream of income in your life. That's just one way that the root chakra lens works. So as the more it drops away, the more you open to possibilities around creating a consistent, steady stream of income, which for a lot of entrepreneurs is a big deal, because especially when we're first starting our business, it's not a consistent stream of income, and it can be really, really scary, right? So then we move into the sacral chakra. The pattern with the sacral chakra is feeling scarcity around not feeling worthy of money, which can translate into getting into debt. So, money comes in, money goes out quickly. We even spend more than we have, so we get into debt. And there's a big difference between like short-term debt, credit card debt, for example, in comparison to like long-term debt, things like having a mortgage. But we're going to focus more on the short-term debt, like knowing that you've got credit cards and that you've maybe had a root chakra problem, not enough money coming in, you've used credit cards to make up the shortfall. So this isn't about judgment, this isn't about blame, this is about just understanding if this pattern is coming up for you. If you're not saving as much money as you want, or you're getting into debt, then this might be a sacral issue. And the shift that you're wanting to make is to see how the beliefs that you're holding on to are preventing you from saving money, for example, and getting out of debt. So we move into the solar plexus, and the pattern that we feel here is around not feeling powerful with money, which relates sometimes to poor money management, Or it could also relate to like extreme money management, like extreme frugality, extreme, kind of like fear, where you got to have everything accounted for, and it's like you don't want to spend money on anything, even things that you really want. So you'll notice that sometimes we've got excessive energy around the chakra, and sometimes we have recessive energy, and it applies for each of these, but I'm just showing you how it works in the power because it's really easy to explain. One would be feeling extremely powerless with money. The other would be wanting to be in control of it 24/7 and thinking about it incessantly. That would be an excessive energy around the solar plexus. And so what we're wanting to do is have understanding of the systems, how we can be better at managing our money and having it be automated, not having to be thinking about it all the time, but have it be in a really balanced, healthy way of managing. Money comes in, money goes out, you know what's happening, you have a really good picture of what's going on in your life around money. So that's the solar plexus. Let's see. And then when we move into the heart, this is really interesting. This deals with about the scarcity that we might be feeling in the heart is around not feeling appreciated for our gifts that we're sharing with the world, which sometimes can relate to under-earning, or also it could also relate to like overworking, where we're just working ourselves to death, right? Just we feel like we have to give and give and give in order just to get our needs met. So again, there's extremes in both parts, but here what the heart is showing us is that the more we can move out of scarcity around not feeling like we're appreciated, not feeling like we're loved, the more we can get that out of the way, we start to see money as merely a tool, right? A resource. And we also start to identify that money comes in oftentimes in relationship to the value that we're creating in the world. So the more we are strategic in understanding our gifts and making sure that we're working on projects and working in areas of our business that are aligned with our true, superpowers, the more easy it is to create money from those places. It also has a lot to do, when I was working in the corporate world for many years, I would often start a job in one position and quickly move up the ladder, like get promotion after promotion after promotion. And I think the reason that happened is I've always been very focused on looking at the landscape of the job and what was needed in the job, and becoming very stealth focused on how can I provide the most value in this job. And by doing that, I would get a promotion, I would get a pay raise, because I was so focused on the value that I was creating in the organization that I became priceless to the people that were paying me. So that's another way that it can show up. So this is the heart chakra and how that plays out. Then we're going to move into the throat chakra. The pattern we feel around scarcity in the throat chakra is about not trusting ourselves, not trusting others, which affects how we go about investing our money. Because if you think about it, now we're, in this case, we're being well paid for our efforts. We're saving more money. We're managing our money. We're really good at paying off debt and accumulating savings. And so by the time we get to the throat chakra, it's about investing. It's about taking the money that we've saved and doing great things with it. For maybe it's buying real estate and creating more passive income streams. Maybe it's investing in your business. Maybe it's investing in the stock market, and being able to know who are the partners that you want to bring with you on the journey. How do you select your financial advisor? How do you select your insurance professional? How do you become really dialed in to knowing that the people that you're selecting are trustworthy, knowing the right questions to ask them? Like, these are the things that oftentimes I've seen, and this is the throat chakra, how the scarcity shows up is we are abdicating our responsibility about our money rather than delegating responsibility. And as we feel more significant in the throat chakra, we realize the importance that this is about delegation, not abdication. So that's one example of what happens when we pay more attention to the throat chakra and clear the stuff out of the way that causes us to live in scarcity patterns. As we move into the brow, this is about the scarcity around not believing in ourselves and our own enoughness, because now all of these are firing, right? They're all working in harmony. You're aligning your chakras and your money is coming into alignment at the same time. And what we start to discover here with our intuitive lens and our wisdom lens is that we're stepping into this sense of enoughness, like I am enough. Or in scarcity, we're like, I'm not enough. I'm surely not enough. I need another degree. I need more experience. I need more money. I need more this, that, and the other. And you can feel how that weighs on our feelings of self-worth and self-value when we feel this way about ourselves, right? So the brow chakra is about not having to worry so much about our money and the bills. You're moving into this phase of wanting to spend time on the things that bring you the greatest joy and the greatest celebration in life. And then when we come to the crown, this pattern is around not believing in our own potential to create prosperity and abundance for ourselves. So this is a very divine connection chakra. And as we clear the things out of and we get aligned in the crown chakra, we're really surrendering ourselves to the truth of life and to our truest selves, as well as the divine powers in whatever way that speaks to you. So when you think about this pathway, you can see why it's not as simple as someone just telling you, go get out of scarcity. You need to be focusing on prosperity. You need to have a prosperity consciousness. Like, what I've found is that is a very simplified answer to something that actually we probably have some work to focus on, because when we dive into our relationship with these chakras and how it's showing up in our relationship with money, we uncover a wellspring of self-understanding that allows us to become more responsive, more aware, more dynamic in all of our endeavors, not just the one that we have with money. This is all about, like I said, understanding yourself better so that you can make significant changes in your life and with your money. And this is just really the beginning. I wanted to plant the seeds because what I teach is so unique. I think that people have a hard time maybe grasping, like, what's she talking about? If you just get a little bit here and a little bit there, it can be a bit overwhelming. And I felt like today was a great way for me to educate all of you more about the things that I teach and how this work comes together. Let's see, I currently have a few different programs that I teach that are low cost and meant to help people get immersed and begin to learn how to shift and align their chakras. One is called Financially Free. It is an introductory course where you learn how to let go of the things that are holding you hostage in the scarcity patterns. It only takes 21 days, which is cool, and it teaches you how to become more mindful of your money and also what needs to be dropped away so that you aren't holding on to these things in your psyche. It's based on 20 years of my own experience of doing this work and diving into mindfulness practices, but then translating all of that work into the relationship with money, which is cool. It also is what has helped me just recently. I'm just so happy to share. My husband and I have been working on this for several years, but we've reached a place where we're at financial independence, where my family and I can now live off of our passive income sources alone, which is a major milestone in anyone's life. And it's true testament to the fact that I'm headed in the right direction, that these tools work. I also have plenty of other people who have been doing this work for several years and come back and share the success stories of paying off, $100,000 in debt, creating, doubling or tripling their income in their business. I mean, there's so many ways that this plays out. It's just going to be unique for where you're at and what's important to you. My other program that's been completed by over 1,000 people all over the world is called Infinite Abundance. It's a 28-day program, and it's also about teaching you about your energy so that you're not living in scarcity, This particular program is more about the chakras than anything. And I kind of see it as the 21 days leads into the 28 days, because this is stuff that I've been working on for many, many years. And if over a couple months you can change your whole entire way of thinking about scarcity, that was my goal, and have it be extremely low cost. And so that's what I created. And I'll put something in the notes if you want to learn more about those. So what questions do you have for me? I did see something this morning come in around self-worth, but I'm curious if you have any questions. Thanks everyone for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. But do you have any questions with what I've shared? Something that you want me to dive into more deeply? Please do share. Like I said, I've been on this journey for 20 years as far as mindfulness is concerned. I've been working in the money business for 30 years. I'm a certified financial planner. So what I've found is that we need to do the inner work first if we want to have drastic changes in our external experiences with money. That if we can look inside, see what's not working, make some changes, then translate it into the holistic financial planning, that's where some really big changes can start to occur. So let's see, any questions or comments? Thank you so much for being here. So this question that came in earlier was a question that said, what does self-worth mean? What is self-worth? And I thought that was really interesting. And I didn't really take time to dive into it, because I figured if we had the time to spend a few minutes, I would just see what comes through in this moment. To me, self-worth is all about understanding that our value is unquestionable, is never been in question, although we live in a culture that tells us constantly that our self-worth should be predicated by how much money we have, how good we are with money, how many degrees we have, where we went to college, what kind of, his backstory we have. I mean, the list, how smart we are, how beautiful we are, the list is exhausting. The wow factor, how famous we are, we live in a world that says that our self-value tells us this, even if it's subtle, tells us constantly that our value is connected to those things. And what I have seen again and again and again, and recently had some huge personal breakthroughs around, is how even when we don't think we're living that way with those belief patterns, we really are, because we've just heard them again and again and again. And true self-worth, self-value is only something that is going to come from inside of us. It's not going to come from other people telling us they love us and appreciate us. Those are all nice to have, but those aren't going to be the things that bring the true self-value that we are seeking, that we want so badly to feel. It is only going to be coming from inside of us. And if we don't fully understand it, if we're not there yet, then my encouragement is that this is an inside job. This is something that you are the only one who has the keys to be able to reach this level of understanding. And at the very least, in all of our lifetimes, I think this is what we're here to discover and learn and fully embrace. So it means that nothing that's happening in our lives is a reflection of our self-value, that we are so crystal clear that our value comes from inside, and that we feel this limitless sense of who we are and what we're capable of creating in our lifetime, and that nothing else defines that but us, that we're the ones who make that decision. And I realize they say this after 20 years of diving in again and again and again to understand this. But I do know it's the freest state that we could ever reach. And the more we step into our own self-worth and our own self-value, the more we feel like no matter what happens, whether we get sick or we are struggling financially, or you name it. Somebody tells us that they don't love us anymore and they want to get out of the relationship. Like, no matter what happens, we know that we are okay, that it isn't a reflection, that we are bad, that we are not enough, that we have something deficient in us. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't learn about how to change our behaviors so that they bring positive outcomes in the world. This isn't about living in denial of the truth of our existence. But as we're on the path, what happens as we're on the path to realizing our full self-value, we start to notice the things that block us from feeling it. And as we dive deeper and deeper into it, we realize that these things that are blocking us are merely forms of scarcity, of ways that we've seen ourselves. And because we're feeling them, we can't help but project them out into the world. And as a result of that, it creates friction in our lives. It creates friction in our businesses. It creates friction in our health and in our relationships. So the cool thing is once you commit and you claim for yourself that you're wanting to feel this at the deepest part of your being, the teachings will start to come no matter what, because you're saying, hey, I'm ready for this. Whether it's here or somewhere else or someone's book or what have you, what I realized in the course of writing the Mindful Millionaire book is that I've been so devoted to this pathway for so many years that the things that I was learning along the way really did want to be shared with other people, in the hopes that it would help them understand their truest self and get to know their true self and be able to notice the difference between the scarcity self and the small self and this higher self that just loves you to pieces, that wants the best for you, that will always help you make good decisions no matter what situations you're confronted with. So that's my definition of that. I'm not scrolling constantly, so I'm checking in. Thanks, Luana, for sharing that. Do you find that one component of understanding is better than another in our money journey? For instance, there is a practical, tactical aspect of money, spreadsheets, the emotional side, and then the mindset and mindfulness component. Have you found one area more important than the other? So thank you, Pam, for asking such a great question. One area needs to be in place before dealing with the others. I would say that they are all, it's a both and. All of the things you're listing here are important. For example, I'll try to explain it really simply. If we are struggling with our money, it is very, very hard to get the freedom and spaciousness that we need to dive into do our inner work. If we're just trying to pay the bills, we're working ourselves to death. We don't have the spaciousness. So in order to have more spaciousness to do the inner work, we need to have a healthy amount of money coming in so that we're not just working all the time. On the flip side, if we're just doing inner work and that's become the thing that's easier for us to do, or it's more enjoyable. Some of us really love doing the inner work, and then we're not translating it to the money. What I found is that it can become almost hollow, and it can almost be like what's called, what I call economic bypassing, where we've got all these spiritual realizations, but we're not putting them into practice. We're not bringing them into the money. And if you think of the world that we're living in currently, what does the world need more of? It needs more mindful people with money, right? That are making decisions from their heart, that are really thoughtfully going into the conscious awareness of what they're going to be doing with their money. And is this a good choice or is this not a good choice? Does this help me and help the world and help the planet, or does it cause more problems? Like, we want more of that. So I guess I'm answering your question and saying they're all important. When we want to look and begin this journey, what I have found a great place to start with is the inner narrative because what I see again and again and again is that we are our own worst enemies. This voice that we're confused about, that often seems like the voice of God, in reality, it's just like a bully, and it's telling us things that cause us to doubt ourselves, to suspect and doubt other people, and to get really confused in that journey. We need to gain some understanding of that inner narrative and how it might not be helping us, or how it isn't helping us. And that's a great place to start, because everyone's got it. And I think as we do this work and the chakras get more aligned, I've noticed that the inner narrative starts to settle down, and you're able to understand this beautiful, loving, higher self voice, and then notice a stark contrast between the small self voice that's telling you things that really upset you and that cause you to go back to some self-sabotaging behavior without even meaning to. So let me know if that helps answer that question. And anything else? How can I can make $10,000 monthly by using the tools you spoke about? Well, it depends. I mean, if you're self-employed, I think that number, that $10,000 number, is a beautiful number to focus on as we start our business, or if we have been in business for a while and we're not there yet. Like there's huge shifts that happen in our confidence level when we reach the 10,000, but for each person, it's going to be different, you know? So it's not like I can just say a blanket statement. I would say, look at what you're really, you love to do. Look at what people have offered to pay you to do in the past. The magic of being in business is finding the areas of greatest need in the world and matching it up to the areas of greatest passion or superpower or ability with yourself, and bringing those two things together. And that is not always an easy task. I mean, I've been working on it for 5 years. I know people who have been doing it even longer than that. And the point is to keep trying until you reach that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I see the world's greatest needs, because people are so eager to pay me for what I'm doing. Now I can easily get to the 10,000 and perhaps a lot more than that. But that's my suggestion of how to get there, is look for both components, not just what you love to do, but what do people love for you to do and are willing to pay you for. But we will be talking more about prosperity, mindful millionaires, habits, things that we can do and change in our own life that can make a positive impact without necessarily having to dive into all the meditations and all that. But thanks again for being here. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon.